Spider-Man No Way Home is out in theaters now, and this is going to be my spoiler review of Spider-Man, or I guess a spoiler discussion, you could call it, because these aren't really reviews, these are more spoiler talks. So if you're the one person in the world that has not seen No Way Home, don't watch this video. I got a spoiler-free review right here that you can check out. The link for it will be at the end of the video as well. Or if you want to be spoiled by No Way Home and don't care that there's certain people in the movie that were speculated to be in the movie, I'll get there, then welcome, I guess. So you guys know me, with these spoiler reviews, I don't usually go in sequential order of the movie. I usually just say what's on my mind first, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to try to. I'm probably going to jump around a little bit, but let's start off with the beginning, shall we? So the beginning of the movie takes place right after Far From Home. Peter Parker's identity as Spider-Man has been revealed, and now the public hates him. I love when he's trying to swing away with MJ, and there's that one guy that just leaps up and tries to grab him. I thought that that was hilarious. My spoiler-free review, I had said that the first 25 to 30 minutes or so were a bit clunky and a bit messy and choppy for me, and it's because we have all these subplots converging because of the fallout of No Way, I almost said No Way Home. Because of the fallout of Far From Home, Peter, MJ, and Ned are getting rejected from every college. Peter has to hire a lawyer to help him in this situation. That lawyer being Matt Murdock, yes, played by Charlie Cox. Charlie Cox is in this movie for a brief cameo. There you go. There's a confirmation of somebody that's back. For me, it was just three subplots it was trying to just set up what was coming with Doctor Strange. So it was just like, oh, the public knows about Spider-Man. Oh, he needs a lawyer. Oh, the charges have to be dropped. Oh, they can't get into college. Oh, here's the fallout. Here's why they can't get into... I'm like, whoa, slow down. But that's really my only gripe with Far From Home. And I don't know, I've only seen the movie once at this point. Like I said in the open, there's probably that one person who hasn't seen No Way Home. For everybody that's seen No Way Home, I'm the one person that's only seen it once. I'm going based off memory from my press screening. I gotta see it again soon. So I technically should probably be doing this after I see it again. But I want to get it up before the weekend because I just want to talk about No Way Home, and it's so ingrained in my memory like so many other blockbusters this year. I have to talk about it. So up next, we have the scene from the trailer where Peter goes to the Sanctum Sanctorum to ask Doctor Strange for help, and Wong is there, and Wong's telling Doctor Strange, he's like, no, don't do this. This is going to have massive consequences. Do not do what Peter Parker is asking you to do. Peter wants Doctor Strange to cast a spell so that the entire public, aside from a few people, we'll get to that in a moment, don't know that he's Spider-Man, and as Doctor Strange is casting this spell, Peter keeps talking, and he's like, I don't want MJ to forget, I don't want Ned to forget, I don't want my Aunt May to forget, and Doctor Strange is like, you're ruining the spell. Wong leaves, but he warns Doctor Strange about the consequences of casting the spell, and Doctor Strange is just like, you don't know what you're talking about. You may have fought Abomination and Shang-Chi briefly, but I got all the power in the world. How dare you? That is Wong. He's the Sorcerer Supreme, as he stated in this movie. Show some respect, Steven. So while Peter talks, the spell becomes corrupted and it makes alterations, and because of that, the multiverse is opened up, and here come the villains from the previous live-action Spider-Man movies. That action scene on the bridge where Doc Ock shows up, I actually like how that starts because it's Peter trying to get to the MIT administrator, which another funny part is that he gets tipped off as to who she is from Flash Thompson, who is now like the biggest Peter Parker fanboy. I love that aspect of the movie. That's when Doc Ock shows up, and it leads to a fight with Doc Ock on the bridge, that scene from the trailer, and he's like, you're not Peter Parker. And then all of a sudden we see the pumpkin bomb, and shit blows up on the bridge, and that leads to Doc Ock being captured, and his tentacles actually take the nanobots from Spider-Man's suit, so he's no longer the Iron Spider. Thank God that CGI suit is gone! practical suits from now on, please. But the fucking tentacles were CGI. They were practical in Spider-Man 2. Why couldn't they just use those? Why does everything have to be CGI now? Tentacles are able to bond with the nanobots from Peter's Spider-Man suit. He is able to disable them. And then Green Goblin shows up and they both get captured. They're taken back to the Sanctum Sanctorum and Doc Ock is just like, wait, Norman? Like, who are you? I don't know. That scene may have happened on the bridge. I don't remember. Like I said, I only saw the movie once, so I'm trying to jot my memory correctly. But yeah, that happens. And you have Electro show up, and thank God Electro is not blue. That doesn't fix Amazing Spider-Man 2 for me, no. It does not, but just seeing all of these villains come back was cool. I mean, the Lizard, I could have done without. I mean, he still just looked like his terrible CGI self from The Amazing Spider-Man, but it was cool seeing Electro come back and him not being blue. It was cool seeing Doc Ock come back, because this is like a Spider-Man fanboy's wet dream, a fever dream of 20 years of villains that have graced Spider-Man live-action movies, and now we get Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin to come back. Like, who would have ever thought of that? Like I said in my spoiler-free review, Willem Dafoe probably thought he was done after that Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. Same with Alfred Molina. He's probably like, wait, you want me back? But Otto Octavius died in Spider-Man 2. I like when he shows up, though, because he's still in that mindset that he wants to complete his fusion reactor project from Spider-Man 2. So I like that he's like ripped from that universe right before he dies. Interesting. So a big part of the plot of this movie is that Doctor Strange enlists Peter, MJ, and Ned to capture the rest of the villains from the multiverse, because now the multiverse is open, and in these multiverses, these villains know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. So he wants the trio to capture them. And so the trio sets out to capture them, and Peter actually has this really awesome Spider-Man suit. He has like a phone right here so that Ned and MJ can actually look and see what he's seeing as well. And that's when we meet Sandman and Electro. And I was actually surprised, because I was like, are they going to just use CGI for Sandman, similar to what they did in the Spider-Man 3? And then is Thomas Hayden Church actually going to show up in physical form? And I guess he sort of does, but mostly Sandman is CGI. But like I said, Electro no longer blue and a lot better than in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's strange though, because I guess, okay, going back to what I said before, Green Goblin actually isn't in the holding cells in the Sanctum Sanctorum, so I was totally wrong. So that whole line where Doc Ock says, hey Norman, I thought you were dead, that was actually on the bridge. Now that I'm jotting my memory. Now Norman Osborn, he destroys his Green Goblin mask because that persona has taken over him for so long, and now he's trying to be Norman Osborn again. And so he's actually pleading with Aunt May for help. It was cool to actually see Aunt May do something else in this movie. She actually has some things to do. You got to see her do her community work with Feast. And then the big moment coming later on. So eventually Norman is captured, and Doctor Strange creates a spell that he puts in a box. That spell is contained in that box, and that spell is actually going to send these villains back to their respective universes, but they're going to go back to their universes moments before their deaths, then accept their fates. And the message of this movie is actually really strong. Peter Parker's just like, let's change the spell around a little bit. Like, who's to say that they deserve to die? And Doctor Strange is like, nope, they gotta die. Like, no, everybody deserves a second chance. There's gotta be a cure for these villains out there. So Peter and MJ and Ned are so hell-bent on trying to find a cure for all of these villains. And this is where the movie kinda shocked me, because here's where I was like, I don't really know who to trust, because Norman Osborn is now just playing like he's Norman Osborn and he's Willem Dafoe hamming it up and being amazing like he always is. Doc Ock is kind of in the middle, Electro's kind of in the middle, Sandman, so it's like, I don't really know who to trust, but here's where the movie threw me for a loop. I really didn't know if I could trust Doctor Strange in this movie, because then he just takes Peter to the mirror dimension and they fight, and at that moment in the movie, I said, oh shit. Doctor Strange is going to be the main villain of this movie, isn't he? Peter's going to have to fight these villains along with Doctor Strange. He's going to try and cure these villains, and the villains are going to try and stop him from trying to cure them, and so isn't Doctor Strange. So it's just going to be another force that he's going to have to deal with, and that's all going to. And if Peter is successful and they go back and through to the multiverses and to the respective universes, that's just going to have to lead Doctor Strange to clean it up, and that's going to lead straight into Multiverse of Madness. So it did throw me for a loop where I actually thought Doctor Strange was going to be a main antagonist in this movie, and he is briefly, but it's really just that fight in the mirror dimension. But Peter leaves him in the mirror dimension, and somehow Ned is able to, I forget how, but somehow Ned is able to get the sling ring where he can like cast the magic. They see Spider-Man in the distance. He's like, he and MJ are like, hey, Peter, over here. And then Spider-Man looks around and he starts walking towards them and he pulls off the mask and it's Andrew Garfield, man. Yeah, that's right. Both Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire show up in this scene. Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker / Spider-Man is written in this movie is hell of a lot better than how he was written in The Amazing Spider-Man and The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I have nothing against Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. I actually think he's better as Spider-Man than he is as Peter Parker, because I think that those two movies actually made Peter Parker too cool, too smooth, and too much of a ladies' man. He's also a dick. I love that they made Spider-Man more quippy in those movies, but thinking about it now, I'm like, Spider-Man's more quippy, but he's kind of a dick about it. That's not really Spider-Man to me. I know that Andrew Garfield was upset about those movies because he loves Spider-Man so much, and just seeing him come back and him living out his dream of playing Spider-Man again, and this time doing it correctly, was a sight to behold. And Tobey Maguire, whew, man. I got some words. And they're mostly good words, but dude, you fall off a cliff, man. You look rough after all these years. I know Tobey Maguire's pushing 50, but seriously, man, it's so hard to believe that the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy was 20 years ago, because he's playing like this 30-year-old high school senior. Now you look at him in this movie and it's like, holy shit, you're old now. So it's like, oh, damn it, well, I feel old now. I saw that movie when I was 8, sat in the very front row because my brother forced my mother and I to sit in the front row for this fucking Spider-Man movie. But just seeing both of them come back was wonders to behold. And it wasn't one of those things where it was like they pop up and it's like, oh, hi, I'm this Spider-Man. Crack a joke. All right, bye-bye. No, they're in the movie for a good chunk. The 3 Peter Parkers do science together. It's amazing. They're in the entire 3rd act of the movie, and they actually help MCU Peter Parker, who we will refer in this review now as Peter 1, Tobey Maguire as Peter 2, and Andrew Garfield as Peter 3, so that we don't have any confusion. So I love that Peter 2 and Peter 3 are helping Peter 1 with this cure, and they're all doing science together. And I love the joke that MJ has. She's like, oh, look, there's like 3 of you. I gotta laugh out of me. I gotta laugh out of the, I don't know, the press at press screenings is like, yeah, they're really boring. So the plan is in motion to cure all these people. But before that, actually, something I totally breezed over is that Norman resorts to being psychotic again. Electro wants the Stark electromagnet. No, not Stark technology again. What is with these Spider-Man MCU movies? So hell-bent on Tony Stark. No, it actually worked for me because at least, unlike in Homecoming and Far From Home, none of these villains had a grudge against Tony Stark, thank God. It was just Electro wanted the Stark reactor. So he was like, yeah, I want that because that feels good. And then Norman goes completely psychotic and Aunt May is involved in an action scene and she dies with a variation of the with great power comes great responsibility line, and my God, Tom Holland is Oscar worthy in that scene. Man, Peter 1 is pushed to his limits so much in this movie, and it is so goddamn good. I've not seen a better performance from Tom Holland yet in his career, and now we finally got it. This is the perfect evolution for a Spider-Man trilogy. Homecoming, he was Spider-Boy. Far From Home, he was Spider young adults. No Way Home, Peter 1 has now become the Spider-Man. And I love that there's this pep talk with both Peter 2 and Peter 3, where Peter 2 says, my uncle inspired me, and that's how I carry on as Spider-Man. And then Peter 3 is like, yeah, I lost my uncle and I lost somebody else. Emma Stone's Gwen Stacy. I wish that I could actually reverse that and help those that need help. It's just such good, strong messaging throughout. And the money shots of all three of them swinging and landing together, and they go to fight the villains. Yeah, that trailer, that Brazilian trailer, yeah, that was edited out. So yeah, Peter 3 is definitely kicking Lizard in the face. Hell yeah. They work together to cure all the villains, and there's one left, and that is, he stabs Peter 2. I was like, how dare you kill Tobey Maguire? How dare you kill Tobey Maguire after all these years? How dare you? You better not fucking die. Ah! So when Peter 1's about to kill him, I'm like, yeah, do it. If Tobey dies, do it. I don't care. Do it. He deserves it. He killed Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man. Do it. But this is also another big character moment for Peter 1 because he's about to stab Norman with his glider because that's how Aunt May died. I liked the little subtle callbacks to the fan service, and also Peter 2, Tobey Maguire, you hear his theme sprinkled throughout, and I hear dun, dun, dun. I was like, thank you! But then I think it's him in Peter 3 that convinced Peter 1 not to kill Norman. And then Doctor Strange shows up and is able to send them all back to their universes because he casts a spell that's going to make everybody forget. And he asks Peter 1, he's like, are you sure you want to do this? And Peter 1 says, no one can know. There was a heartbreaking moment for me. I don't know if I'm becoming a sappy bastard or a huge one of them shippers, but when MJ and Peter say goodbye to each other for the final time and the spell is cast, and that means MJ and Ned are gonna forget, and she just kisses Peter, I'm like, ugh, my heart's broken. I think I have a short circuit in my body somewhere. And then I love the whole thing where she's like, you gotta come and find me so that you can tell me everything. And then the end of the movie is Peter showing up and at the coffee shop that he and Ned and MJ used to hang out in. He can't bring himself to do it because he's like, you know what? I don't know what the thinking is, but my thinking of that is I can't put anybody through this anymore. And so he just goes on to live his life while they go to MIT. And now this was the perfect opportunity to bring back Mr. Dickovich. When Peter 1 gets his own apartment and the landlord shows him the apartment, that should have been Mr. Dickovich. Where was? Oh well, slight missed opportunity. I wish it was him, just a little nitpick, but I like that he's kind of on his own now. He's cleared of all charges, and then he crafts a new Spider-Man suit. So the movie ends with him swinging around New York in the classic Spider-Man suit at Christmas time. Holy shit, it's Christmas time. Is this going to tie in with Hawkeye? I highly doubt it's going to tie in with Hawkeye, but now that I'm watching Hawkeye, I'm like, well, Spider-Man's right around the corner. So he's got to be helping out. He's got to know about all this. So he's just swinging, and then you get the final swing, and the credits come on. The mid-credit scene for me was really stupid. Like, what was the point of bringing Tom Hardy and Venom into the MCU? The moment I heard him talking, I was like, get the fuck out of this movie. Get back in your own universe. And then within 30 seconds, he goes away, and I'm like, oh, thank God, I don't have to deal with Tom Hardy Venom anymore. I hate those movies. Well, the second one's not terrible, but I don't know. I don't want to watch it again. I'm not rushing to see it. So yeah, the less of the Sony Spider-Man universe we see, the better. The more of the MCU Spider-Man we see, the better. Thank God Morbius was not in this. Oh. So that was the mid-credit scene. And then the post-credit scene was a sneak peek of Multiverse of Madness, where you have Elizabeth Olsen show up and Doctor Strange is asking her, like, oh, I didn't find you in Westview. So you see bits and pieces of what Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is going to offer. And is that Strange Supreme? I'm told I have to watch What If, because apparently that is Strange Supreme. I think that's what he's called. I have no idea. Correct me in the comments. But I think Multiverse of Madness looks really cool, and it looks like Sam Raimi is going to get back a little bit to his darker horror-ish roots. It's probably not going to be full-blown horror, but if there's some scary shit in it, I'll be happy. So that's my spoiler review for Spider-Man No Way Home. Hope you guys really enjoyed it. Hope you really enjoyed the movie. I really enjoyed the movie. It's just those first 20 or so minutes with the 3 subplots converging, trying to set up the movie, and then once we actually get into the main plot of the movie, it's a rollicking good time. It's really good. Even once we get to the Sanctum Sanctorum, right after those 3 subplots, that's where the movie starts to chug the gears a little bit and start moving. So now that Spider-Man No Way Home is out, did you guys love it? Did you hate it? Where does it rank in the MCU for you? Drop me some feedback in the comment section below. I will leave my link to my website and the link for my spoiler-free review of Spider-Man No Way Home at the end of this video. The link to my website will be down in the description below. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I'll see you at the movies. So.